listening to Give God 90, where we're not afraid of the tough biblical questions, because we will dig through the language, the culture, and the history to find the truth revealed in the words of our Creator.
I wanna see the light.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for letting me share part of your day. Normally, I would say us, but my name is Jerry Mitchell, and today, Myra's not here. She has left me unsupervised. Something very dangerous for her to do, by the way. And as such, here's the fun part. I get to play with all this technology by myself. So, I mean, making sure everything's working and doing all that good stuff. Let me start today by talking about the way people think we're important. Everybody likes to think they're important, right? And, of course, some people are important in our lives, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the way a parent is important to a child. I'm not talking about the way maybe a nurse is important to a patient. I'm not even talking about the way any employee may be important or should be important to their employer. What I'm talking about is this arrogant, overrated, complex feeling of importancy that we put on ourselves. Mankind seems to have taken on this concept that we have the capability of either destroying the planet just by living, and that the planet would be best if all humanity died, right? There are certain people who have said, like Bill Gates, that we need to reduce the population of the planet for the survival of everyone else. Now, who was he talking about? Is he going to volunteer? I don't see that. I don't see Bill Gates saying, you know what, we need to reduce the population and I'll go first. That's not what I'm hearing out of Bill Gates. I'm hearing he gets to choose who lives and who dies. Sorry, you're not God, okay? You might think you are, but you have arrogantly overrated your importance in this world. Myra's not here to read this, so you're stuck with me reading from Job. Just 7 verses. It's not that big a deal. As one of Job's friends was trying to convince him to be less than loyal to the Almighty, when Job's friends paused for a moment, the Creator himself spoke. Out of the whirlwind, out of the storm, they hear this voice. Job hears this voice out of turmoil because the Almighty is angry. And when the Almighty is angry, you know he's angry because he makes certain points. What we see in Job 38, 1 through 7, when the Almighty answered him out of this tumultuous state, he says, "Who is this who obscures my counsel, my words, without knowledge? Now brace yourself like a man. I will question you, and you will answer me. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell me if you have this understanding. Who fixed the measurements? Surely you know. Who stretched a measuring line across it? On what were its foundations set? Who laid its cornerstone? While the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of glory shouted for joy." The Almighty is laying out. Now you can hear the anger in his words when he says, "Who are you? Who are you when you don't know to try and explain things about me? Who are you?" As somebody who felt they were more important. Now, the person who was speaking to Job just wanted Job's pain to stop, right? He just wanted Job's suffering to end. So Job, if you just deny God, all this will go away. But Job's trust never wavered. And finally, when the Almighty got tired of hearing this, who's this? Who is this that's speaking to you? Can they do this? Can they do that? Do they know this? Do they know that? No, they didn't know that. See, the questions that the Almighty was asking Job, he didn't expect an answer. He gets one later, but he didn't need him to answer him. He just needed Job to stop and to think. He needed Job to take a second and remember who the creator of the universe really is. We need to keep who's really important in perspective. He's saying, Job, you're not that important here, okay? It's me. I'm the one that's important here. Job, you're doing a good job, but you're really not that important. Yeshua reminds us as well, he says in Matthew 5:36, when he's talking about an oath, right? And he says, you shouldn't swear on your own head because you can't even make one hair on your head turn from black to white or white to black. Later he says in Matthew 6:27, do you think that worrying about things is going to add a single hour to your life? David gets in on this in Psalm 39, verses 4 and 5. Show me, O Jehovah, my end, and the measure of my days. Let me know how fleeting my life is. You indeed have made my days as handbreadths, and my lifetime as nothing before you. Truly each man at his best exists as but a breath. Now, a handbreadth is a unit of measure. Today we measure horses in hands, right? A hand equals 4 inches. A 16-hand horse is 64 inches tall to the top of the withers. For the folks in other countries, that's 1.62 meters, according to Google, that is, because I'm not smart enough to figure that one out. I had to look that one up. And all of this is to say that we're really not that important, are we? Without chemicals, we can't change our hair color. As some people would argue, well, you can make it black with certain types of walnuts. It's chemically altering the color of your hair, okay? I understand that. You can't add a second to your life. You can't do anything to extend your life beyond what your Creator has allowed you. Did you know that? Not going to happen. You can't make yourself any taller. You can't do any of that. So we're not really that important in the grand scheme of things. We're important to other people, yeah. But there's a reason for that. We're not that important, but we are loved. We're loved by our Creator because He chooses to love us, not because He has to. He doesn't have some burning desire, or He doesn't feel compelled to love us. There's no unconditional love in the Bible, that's for sure. The idea of unconditional love is a fairly modern concept. There's conditions to the love of the Creator. We read phrases such as, if you hear my voice and do my commands, then you will be my people and I will be your God. See, those are terms of condition. If and then are terms of condition. Now, our Creator will go through a lot of trouble putting people in the lives of other people to witness to them, okay? And he sometimes goes to a little bit of trouble of putting people in the lives of other people who need to be witnessed to. He chooses to leave the 99 for the one. We find that in Matthew chapter 18, where he says, well, what do you think? If a fella has 100 sheep, but one of them goes missing, well, he's gonna make sure that those 100 are taken care of, but he's going to go look for the one. He's not going to forget it. And if a shepherd can do that, don't you think that your heavenly Father is going to do more? Of course he's going to do more. Of course he's going. It's ludicrous to think that he's going to do any less. For our Creator to have all the people who trust him to be a people of priests, an example of how we should live our lives to the rest of the world. You know, there's no real need for him to go to that much trouble. He could be very content with what he has. You know, these few people over here, they are the most faithful. They're the ones who love me the most. They're the ones who are going to do anything for me, and I will take care of them. So why doesn't he just take those and leave the rest? Well, he doesn't leave the rest because to leave the rest is out of his character. To leave them, who would he leave them under the control of? Yeah, think about that. Excuse me, for our Creator to take the ones who are most faithful just because they are the most faithful, but yet leave the rest under the control of the influence of the enemy, is completely out of the character of our Creator. He's not going to do it. It's not going to happen. Now, there might be some people, yeah, but you know what? When we all go to hell, there's going to be a big party down there, and we're going to be all fine. No, you're not. Okay? No, you are not. It's not a big party. It's a big pain for a very long time that you probably are not going to want to endure. Because when you think it can't get any worse, that's when it gets worse. When you think it can't get any worse than that, yes, it can. He chooses not to leave us under the authority of the enemy. He wants us, he has a desire for us to choose him. And he does that by implementing conditions that we have to meet. See, he's already met the conditions he sets up for him. Because he wants to, not because he has to. We choose to meet his conditions not because we have to, but because we want to. We have to accept his terms and his conditions. And when we do that, we have the opportunity to become the example to the rest of the world. See, we need to accept his terms and conditions. We need to freely choose to serve him, and we need to freely choose to be loyal to our Creator. When we are free to choose to accept his terms and his conditions, we are also free to choose to reject his terms and his conditions, right? That's just a logical argument. If one thing is true, the opposite has to be true too. We can reject what he offers us. But you know what? He's still going to hold up the people that believe in him, the people that trust in him, just no matter what happens, just like Job. No matter how bad things get, no matter how rough and tough and tumble things are, Job stayed faithful. He stayed trustworthy. And he stayed trusting. Job understood that the only way he was going to get through it, no matter how bad things got, was his complete trust in the Almighty. He offers that example to the people who reject him. He leaves the ones who are the most faithful under the care of faithful people. And he goes out and he searches for the missing. He searches for the ones because he doesn't want to leave anyone under the authority of the enemy. See, all of mankind together. If we stood, if the entire population of I should say this way, if the entire living population stood together across the globe and held hands all at the same time, and we all thought good thoughts and said, oh, we can add 1 second to our lives by doing this, we're fooling ourselves because we just can't. On our own, we can do nothing. We can't achieve anything on our own. Peace between countries? Nope, can't happen. Not on our own. Peace between countries only happens when the Creator allows peace between countries. War, on the other hand, our greed can start war. Oh, yeah. Our greed can start war. Our greed can start a lot of things. Division absolutely comes from the enemy. Doesn't mean that the Almighty won't use it. You know what? He used war when Israel went in and took occupation of the land, right? The first time, he says, you go in there, you just wipe them all out. I'll take care of them. Don't you worry about it. Well, they kind of messed up when they didn't do that, right? The Almighty used war when he kicked them out of the land. Yeah. An invading army. That's war. Okay? Just letting you know that. Excuse me. See, everything that we have achieved in this world was achieved using the knowledge and the skills that the Almighty knit us together with before we were born. In the famous speech, Barack Obama said, you didn't build that. Well, yeah, we did. But building something doesn't make us important. You remember a certain tower on the plains of Shinar? They were going to go meet God on their terms, right? They weren't willing to meet the Creator on his terms, but they were going to take the place over, right? Yeah, that's kind of the way that story was headed. They found out they weren't that important. Mankind cannot meet God on our own terms. Some people, though, have actually had a minor effect on the things our Creator wanted to do. If you remember Moses, when the Almighty looked down and he seen the people that he had just brought out of Egypt, the people that he had just said, don't bow down to idols, were worshiping a golden calf, he was ready to wipe them out. And Moses intervened and said, no, you can't do that. If you're going to do that, you just count me with them. God was angry. Okay? The Almighty was livid. How much madder can you get than that? I don't know. But he was highly perturbed. He did not... the thing that Moses had going for him is Moses knew that the Almighty did not really want to destroy. He had no desire, no burning desire to destroy the children of Abraham. He had promised Abraham. He had offered the offspring of Abraham through Isaac this enormous blessing. Moses had that going for him. And that, by Moses intervening, saying, look, I'm no better than they are. You find another way. Don't destroy them. Find another way. You got to find another. I can't do this. You can't keep using me like this. I can't do it. And it calmed the Almighty down enough. He said, okay, we'll find another way, Moses. They still needed to be punished for their own correction, but they found another way. You see, to think that we're so important that we can change the mind of the one who made us, we're not that important. If he really, truly had a deep desire to destroy everyone at Sinai that day, they'd have been wiped out. Nothing you could have done about it, Moses. Sorry. But Moses knew that he did not have that burning desire. He was mad. And Moses said, you just count me with them. What do you mean count you with them, Moses? I can't do that. I'm just mad. We'll find another way. We're not going to change the mind of the Almighty when it's made up. But when we live the way we're designed to live, our desires will reflect the desires of the Creator. We will learn to ask for the things that He desires us to have. That doesn't make us important. It makes us loved. Like a father loves his child. He wants them to have the things that are best for them. He wants them to choose to avoid the things that are going to do them harm. No loving parent would put a poisonous snake in a child's bed. No loving parent would prostitute their own child. No loving parent would murder their own child. Notice I said no loving parent would do these things. Now, a selfish person would do these things. A selfish person will do more harm than good every time. A selfish person does things like this and more because they think they're arrogantly important. They arrogantly think they're important. Let's put it that way. That's probably more proper English. If you honestly believe you're more important than you are, you're dangerous. You're very, very dangerous. A selfish person thinks only of themselves and their own desires, their own wants. They don't care about what they even need. They just, I want what I want when I want it. Now, a charitable person, on the other hand, they consider the needs of others first. A loving person does not consider themselves important. A humble person considers themselves. A humble person does not consider himself or herself to be important. A loving person is usually a humble person. A loving person will willingly choose to live the way their Creator designed them to live once they understand that concept. Once they realize that the Almighty chooses this direction for them, they're willing to do what He asks. Excuse me, an arrogant person, a selfish person will not. A selfish person will say, no, I'll do things this way. Myron and I Thursday night spoke about some things that the Pope had said. And the Pope says, well, if you just do what's right in your own conscience, you'll be okay. Well, no, you won't. Because that, if I do what I think is right and you do what you think is right, what happens when those paths don't cross? If you don't have somebody else who is your moral compass, then you don't have a moral compass. Because you can't do it on your own. You can't choose what's right and what's wrong. You see, a loving person is not so arrogant as to think their way is better than God's way. We're not that important. We just aren't. We can't change how tall we are. We can't change the color of our hair without chemicals. Some of us can't choose to have hair without chemicals, right? Just saying. But if I go to the barber shop, they're going to charge me the same amount of money they charge somebody with a lot of hair. Think about that. Okay? Just saying. We can't do anything without the Almighty. We can't add a second to our lives. It's just the way life is. Now, the interesting thing about that is we can, if we choose, are you ready for this? If we choose to live the way the Almighty designed us to live, we are promised a long, productive, successful, joy-filled life. It's just the way it is. Not because we're important, but because the Almighty chooses that for us. The terms of His conditional love is if we hear His voice and do the things He asks us to do, we are promised a long, productive, successful, joy-filled life. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Doesn't mean it's going to, how long is long, right? Long kind of, if you're an ant, a meter might be a long way. If you happen to be a horse, a meter is not a very long way. So it's all in perspective. What's a long life? How do you measure a long life? Well, the Almighty doesn't. Not the way we do. He doesn't measure our lives in years because to the Almighty, we're all the same age. We're all eternal beings. You've heard me say that before. It doesn't matter whether you're 8 days old, 8 months old, 80 years old. In the eyes of the Almighty, you're all the same age. You're only as old as you feel, right? Not going down that road today, because some days you get out of bed, you feel like you're 15. Some days you get out of bed, you feel like you're 150. Think about that. Why? Because in the eyes of the Almighty, you really are all the same age. Every person that was ever born or ever died or all the people who are living, as far as the Almighty is concerned, you are all exactly the same age. Best way I can describe that. Here's the other thing we need to really, really think about. Our importance should not be judged by ourselves. Because when I start thinking I'm important, that leads me into, well, I must be right because everybody sees me how important I am. No. Doesn't work that way, sorry. Even politicians, even celebrities, they used to, not that many years ago, you'd see celebrities, you'd see entertainers, politicians, sports figures, didn't matter who they were, they would stand up and say, you have to do what is right. Now, they are so self-absorbed because they consider themselves important, they want more airtime on television and in the movies. They want more people looking at them. They want to sell more whatever, right? So how do they do that? Well, they no longer stand up and say, live right. Now they stand up and say, oh. So if we go against what the Almighty says, if we go against what our Creator says, the farther we can go against it, the more popular we can be. And they're doing it. They are promoting a sinful lifestyle. Think about that. When you are so self-absorbed and you think you're so important that you can stand against your Creator and promote a sinful lifestyle for greed. I don't honestly believe that most people see that as a good thing. Especially believers, okay? And I don't care what religion you are. If you believe in any God, and this is going to sound odd coming from me, all right? If it's not even the creator of the universe, but you believe that your moral compass is, for lack of a better thing, a lampshade. Let's just say it, all right? A lampshade. Well, here's the thing. At least it's not yourself. You need to trade that lampshade in for the the one who was the creator, the guy who designed the lampshade, okay? But at least you're not going to become so self-absorbed that anything goes. In 2 Thessalonians, someone who is described, Christians call it the Antichrist, and that's fine. You know, I can see that term very easily. But it's a man who is so perfectly evil that he's not going to just stand against the Almighty, the creator of the universe. He stands against all that is considered God. It doesn't matter whether it's that lampshade. Doesn't matter if it's a Buddha. It doesn't matter if it's Allah. He will stand against them all. And he's going to say everybody must worship him. Think about that. Somebody who is so engrossed in their self, they have become so arrogantly important, they're not just standing against the creator of the universe. They're willing to stand against every religion, every belief system that has ever been thought up in the world. That self-absorbed importance will occur. There's nothing we can do to stop it. It's just going to happen. That self-absorbed importance. Someone so arrogant that they believe that everybody will bow down to them. And the sad part is a lot of people will. A lot of people will. But the good news is if you maintain your faith, if you maintain your trust in the one who made you, the one who made you promises to take care of you. If you hear his voice, if you do the things he tells you to do, he says, there's nothing to worry about. I got this. That is what keeps people going. It's what gives people hope, even as we watch the world decline today. That understanding, that process, that perspective, however, whatever you want to think about it, that concept that I have a promise from the creator of the universe who says I'm going to be okay as long as I keep trusting in him. Because he's the same one who asked Job, when Job was being challenged by his friends, just give it up, Job. Just give it up. And out of the turmoil, out of the whirlwind, Job hears the Almighty himself. Who is this who tries to tell you what I'm saying and they don't even have a clue? Hang on. Hang on, Job. Get a hold of yourself. Suck it up, Buttercup, because I'm going to ask you and you're going to answer me. Where were you when I spoke and created? Where were you when I chose what the divine beings are going to look like? Where were you when I chose what you were going to look like? Where were you, Job, when I chose to knit you together in your mother's womb? You think you're important? You are to some people. You know, everybody's important to some degree. But don't ever think you're more important than you really are. I don't know anybody that ever lived, or ever died, I should say. I don't know anybody who ever passed away who in just a few days was not replaced. Think about that. Whenever you think you're so important that the place just can't, I'm so important, the place I work at just can't survive without me, right? Yeah, they can. Even even me, right? If something happened to me today and I wasn't here Thursday night to speak on this podcast, you'd tune somebody else in, right? I'm just not that important. I can be replaced. You can be replaced. The only person that I know cannot be replaced is the creator of the universe. Nobody and nothing will ever replace him. So if you ever start thinking you're important, just remember, you can be replaced. It kind of keeps you humble. And that's a good thing. Because being humble means you're willing to accept and offer love. A selfish person can't do that. Only a humble, loving person can accept and offer love. Till Thursday, when Myra will be back with us, I want you to stay humble. Don't think yourself too important. And until then, many, many blessings.